Well, good evening, everybody. We had some technical difficulties. I was talking to some friends of mine here on Zoom. I thought we were talking to the audience out there. We weren't, but we had a great conversation. Thanks to the awesome Aaron Isaac, who's trying to navigate the technical world tonight of both YouTube and Facebook Live. If we get cut out at any point, we are taping this so that hopefully we'll be able to put it on when it is. If it does end up not being live, we'll put it on tape so you can see the whole thing, because we don't want to waste our time here with some great teachers. I did want to put a plug in for, before we do that, for the technology workshop that was held with parents tonight under the leadership of Michelle Lindsay, our school librarian at the primary school, school media, library media specialist, as well as Angela Affronte, our director of technology. They did a great job with a small group of parents, really walking them through the different technological challenges that you were all facing at home. The good news is we're going to try to have that. We recorded that, and we're going to try to put that up on our website and on Facebook so that everybody can see it. As long as our parents are okay who participated in doing that, it would be great for all parents to take a look at. So without further ado, I just want to talk a little bit tonight with some of our outstanding teachers across the district. That'll go on for about 20 to 25 minutes, and then we will have a conversation. I'll have a conversation about some updates regarding teaching and learning tonight. And we'll go from 7 to 8 p.m. Obviously, we're starting at 7 because we wanted to make sure the technology group was able to complete their session by which ended at 7. So want to welcome Chris. I'm just going to give a shout out to Ollie, Krista Cooper. We have Adrienne Dahlstrom here. We have Mary Banaszak. So Krista is a kindergarten teacher. Adrienne's a second grade teacher at the primary school. Mary is not only a counselor at the high school, but oversees the counseling department across the school district. Joanne Lowe, a second and third grade music teacher, is also here. And last but not least, Dave Denner, not only an outstanding art teacher at the high school, but Dave, you also, you're an art standards leader or art coordinator, correct?
I was art department chair for 7 years. Currently, I am just an art department member.
Oh, now, so. Sorry. You know what? Your legend was so strong that I don't, for people who did, I just had to say that. I made fun of Dave's Ben Roethlisberger jersey when I thought we were live 10 minutes ago, so I won't do that again. Everybody does know who won the game Sunday night. So, but that's okay. He certainly can have that in his background. So let's start with Krista. Krista, talk a little bit about how things are going from a teaching perspective as you work with our youngest learners, our kindergarten students, and doing some amazing things while they're in person as well as not there on a few of the days of the week.
So things are going really good down in the early childhood building. The kids have really gotten into a nice rhythm and routine, and they're just super excited to be there every day, that they're in person. And it's been such a gift to be able to meet with them, to build those relationships with them, and just really get to know them and know what their needs are this year. So we're so thankful that we can be together part of the time with them, and just, give them the best that we can while we have them so that we can get them ready for what they need. It's been great to work with parents this year as well, and just noticing how much more I feel like we have relationship built with them around their students' learning and what's going on. And that's been great to see as well this year. And it's been also fun to see the kids build relationships with each other. We, weren't really sure what that was going to look like, with the distancing. And it's sometimes you take a step back and go, man, that's really sad. That's what, school's about, is building those relationships, but it really hasn't hindered that at all. And just to see them connect with each other, and even on our Zoom days when they get to see the quote unquote other kids that are in their classroom, they really enjoy being able to do that as well.
That's great. And then Adrienne, second grade, also some of our youngest learners. Talk a little bit about your experience, please.
It's been such a gift coming back and see them come in every day with such enthusiasm and energy, and running into the classroom with, I'm assuming there's a smile on their face, but you can tell that they're smiling under that mask, and they really have just been able to adapt so well to being in a different type of environment. It really feels normal. It feels like all these things that we're doing to stay safe and to learn at the same time has just become kind of married together so well. And they're just so resilient, and they're so eager to learn, and they're so excited to spend time with each other and get to know us, and, you know, be part of our Victor primary community, which we're so happy to have them. A lot of them, the second graders, come from the ECS, so they haven't been in our building before. And we're really just excited that they're part of our little team here, right, that we have. So we're excited. It's been
So
a good start.
what's it like with our youngest learners, trying to teach them or have them continue to learn when they're not in front of you, I guess is a better way to put it, on the days that they're not in front of you?
I have to say, I think one thing that I really appreciate the most with our virtual learning sets is that they're really, I think they look at, you know, days in sequence. So I have loved, for example, sending our writing folders home with the kids so that they write with us when they're in the days that they're in school, and the lessons that they get with us on a Tuesday, for example, when they're home on a Wednesday, it's like they're continuing the same work. So, you know, I tell the kids, you know, you're in school at school, but you're also in school at home. It's just, you can be in school wherever you are. And, you know, having access to some of those same materials like the writing folder and the writing paper and those kinds of tools allow that instruction and that learning to be cohesive. Kids come back in after a couple days, and it's like they're so excited to show me what they worked on when they were at home. And that's been really amazing, because I have seen a lot of progress in, you know, the little bit of time that we've had them in person. So that's been really nice.
And kindergarten, Krista, has to be, I mean, challenging, obviously, especially trying to, you're used to having them 5 days a week, and now you have them either 2 or 3 days a week. What's that like? Is it similar to Adrienne with the second grade, or is it a little different just because they're younger?
I think it's a little different because they're younger. But you know, sometimes I forget in the teaching piece of it that, you know, really when I think about it, I've only met with them like 30 days, you know, each group. And so I feel like our expectations are still kind of, you know, where they should be at a normal point in the year. And so you can see the continuation of that work at home, because you get that feeling of we are kind of at the same point in the year that we normally would be.
Yeah. And then Joanne Lowe is here with us, who has a really unique situation this year. Do you want to talk a little bit about it?
Sure, sure. So my husband and I are both in our mid-60s, and the district has been kind enough to allow me to do most of my string teaching, well, all of my string teaching virtually this year. So I'm a little less than a full-time person, but I have a bunch of violin, viola, and cello students in second and third grade, and they're doing great. They are doing so great. They're really happy to, you know, to have a teacher that they get to see once a week. And I've gotten to meet their moms and dads and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cats and dogs and birds,
Yeah.
hamsters. It's really, I think if you had asked me back in the spring whether this would even be a possibility, because teaching violin, these are really hard instruments to learn. They're the hardest of all the instruments. So I would have thought, yeah, there's no way that's going to work. And then I did lessons over the summer with some private students, and it was great. It was actually pretty great. We did a lot of brainstorming with the other string teachers, Elizabeth Knapp and Lauren Spitaleri and Gretchen Judge. And we came up with all kinds of different ideas to approach this. So, you know, I've been able to blend short videos that I've sent out saying that, you know, this is how you do rest to play position. This is how you hold your instrument on your shoulder with no hands, and, you know, all of those skills that they need to learn. It's actually been kind of an eye-opening experience to realize that I could do this sort of flipped classroom situation where I'm putting that information out there, and for kids that are, you know, really motivated to want to move ahead, they can look at new stuff and try it. And for kids that need that extra support, like me, when I was a kid, I forgot everything I ever heard, so I had to hear it about 10 times. It's really been helpful for them too. So it's been a successful mode of teaching. I'm really pleased. Kids are doing well.
That's great, Joanne. And then we shift from second and third to high school with Dave. And some really technical and fine arts instruction. How is that going, Dave, especially with our oldest students?
Sure. Well, I have the pleasure of working with our portfolio development students. I also work with an advanced drawing and painting group, Drawing and Painting 2, and some of our freshmen and sophomores in Digital Studio. And there's a lot of challenges. And in fact, 6 or 7 weeks ago, I don't think I would be saying this, but right now things are going really well. It's definitely been a lot of ups and downs because you feel the pressure of wanting to deliver the content in the same way that you always have. And we've built a strong program where our students who go on to study art earn substantial scholarship money. So last year, of the students who went on to study art, they earned just under $500,000 in scholarships to apply to their education. So I want to make sure that whatever I'm developing for them, that I'm able to produce that same quality experience. So I've ran into a bunch of things in my colleagues as well, things like materials rollout, because we work with more expensive materials and high-end materials that we don't have individual sets for everybody. We use class sets. So there's a lot of balancing that you do and really just trying to think about ways to change our approach. And it's kind of like I've been teaching for 18 years. So I take 18 years of constant practice, progress, development, and improvement. And how am I going to package it in a different way and still be effective? But really, we can look at all the theories and all the systems and learning models that they put in front of us. The ultimate equalizer is the student. And I got to say, as soon as we had students in the classroom, at least while we're here and we're instructing, it feels like we're at home. It feels like normal. You know, we're understanding the important role that we play in the lives of these kids. And at the same time, we are carrying that passion and that desire and a little bit of fear too, I would say, without fear of admitting it, that I want to make sure I'm doing the right thing, as do all of my colleagues.
Right.
So it's been an interesting dynamic this year.
It's a great point too around everybody has some anxiety around how we're trying to do our jobs, but not just and making sure we're putting kids first, but everybody there is. So that's great to hear. Mary, I've said this numerous times too, you know, you and your school counselors across the district always have had an important job. It's probably more important now. How has it been for you, not only in your role as school counselor, but working with the other school counselors, especially as you take care of our students' social emotional well-being?
I think across the district, we're also excited to see those students walk in the door every day. That's the best part of our day. To see them coming in, our hybrid students who come in ready and eager to learn. The kids who are coming into school, I was amazed. You know, we all wondered about the masks and how they'd handle that. And, you know, keeping high schoolers apart, keeping them socially distanced. But boy, they are respectful, they're considerate of others, they are conscientious about keeping themselves and others safe. Um, it's just been amazing. And I'm so proud of the way they have done that, how they've entered our building ready to learn. For us, you know, when they're in school on the days we can see them, we're trying to make connections with them in person. For our students who are remote, we've, as counselors, become more tech savvy than I ever thought we could be in a short period of time, thanks to our technology department and our colleagues who are tech wizards, who have helped us as counselors to learn how to create Google Classrooms for our cohorts and roll out Screencastify social emotional lessons and create Google office hours so our high school students can sign up for appointments with us for college planning. So those have been some challenges, but ones we're proud to say that we're learning and we're growing and we're learning new skills just like the kids are. Our biggest challenge really is connecting with the kids who are not in school and making sure that they're staying with us from home. And that's been a big challenge because sometimes the kids who are not in school are doing a great job. They're organizing their time. They're moving along with us and they're doing great. But some others are not doing as well with managing their time They're sleeping in late, they're not logging in. And so it's a matter of making those connections with home, communicating with families, communicating with parents, and reaching out to kids through email, through Zoom, through phone calls, and through home visits with our social worker, John Ryan. It's done an amazing job reaching out to kids.
That's great. Thanks, Mary. And Dave, you know, I really respect all our teachers, and I know at the 7-12 level, we're looking at shifting to some more connections with kids on days they're not in session, starting the second semester, which isn't until February 1st. And I'll talk about a little of that later this evening. But from your viewpoint, you know, I know it's very challenging, and I know there's some concern by lots of teachers around it, because there are some incredible things going on right now. What are some of that what from the art department, what would you need really to support you if we're going to do more live instruction? And does that even look different for, say, art than it might for English or math, in your opinion?
Well, we're a hands-on subject matter for one. So a lot of the stuff we do, we're producing some sort of a product. And you learn a lot through that process of doing. The big challenge with the additional contact time for us is simply going to be teaching multiple ways on any given day for every single class block. I can speak personally that when I have just a few members in a Zoom with my traditional class setting, at times it's difficult to know who needs what from you. And I approach my my practice as students first and student centered. So basically, I try and figure what they need from me, and I'm able to build off of that. So, you know, not being able to look over your shoulder all the time and not having that 360-degree vision does make it challenging. But at the same time, I think about the students who do struggle. I think about the need to develop good habits, to establish routines, and how that can be very valuable. So despite my own nerves and anxieties and things, you know, I realize that whatever we can do that's going to be best for the students, I can get behind. And what's interesting is I create opportunities through the social emotional learning with my students to do what I call airing of their grievances. So when a topic comes up, a hot button topic, we talk about it a little bit. And the goal of that is to allow them to feel like their opinion matters, that their voice counts. And my hope through those discussions is to also try and help them to see multiple aspects of a problem. So I definitely like to emphasize the positive connotations, because it's really easy to look at the negatives. And my analogy is always that the negative comments shout and the positive comments whisper.
Mhm.
So when I look at those two things, you know, I try and at least offer my own little bit of whisper to help make sense of a situation.
Yep, thank you. And you know, we as leadership staff working collaboratively with the teaching staff have to listen to the teachers and adapt, you know, because especially in the unique departments, I mean, every department's unique, but you know, performance-based, I'll call them departments such as music, tech, art, physical education, right? I mean, we've got to be able to differentiate and make sure we're doing what's best for you and for kids, especially when we do have some more live interaction. So I appreciate your optimism, and you're just looking at the bright side and trying to find answers around it to see if we can, you know, make this work even better. And again, that won't occur till February 1st. What are other challenges you're seeing just from the folks here in this incredible time that we're going through?
Well, I've been struggling to learn about technology that has been so absent to me, and it's something that it wouldn't occur to me to use Google Classroom with second graders. And until, you know, this past summer and learning a lot about it, I feel like that's something that I'm going to carry with me after we go back to whatever traditional public education will look like in the future. And I mean, I feel blessed to have that opportunity to learn about some of that technology, because I think otherwise I wouldn't have given it a second glance, because some of the things that are out there, educational technology, is very intimidating and overwhelming. And sometimes it's so hard to break the ice and learn about something new until you jump in. And I feel like I'm learning about all this technology with the kids. Like I was, you know, in learning about Flipgrid. Boys and girls, I'm going to send you guys a link today. I just want to test it out, see if I can get it to work, because I've never done it. And it's really great because like you have test subjects right there and they're so happy and eager to help you. And the learning curve is really steep, but I feel like I'm learning so much, and I absolutely feel like a new teacher, even though I've been here for, gosh, 15 years or something, you know? So that's been an interesting dynamic that's kind of been added to the complications and the things that are going on this year. So
That's great. Anybody else want to share any challenges? Joanne?
Well, I wanted to say that I agree with Adrienne that learning all this new technology in like a split second seemed like was challenging, but I think it's so great for the kids to see us struggling with something and learning how to overcome those kinds of challenges, because it's a teaching moment for them too. And one of the challenges that I have during a normal teaching year is having enough connection with families. I mean, I send out lots of emails and you know, as Krista was saying, we communicate with families all the time, but to actually see them in person and have them ask a question about how to hold a bow or something and be able to give them an answer and recognize each other. There are a lot of parents I never ever meet all year long. So that kind of a connection is just, it's been great. It's been a something I thought was going to be a hard thing to tackle, and it's worked out really well for the kids and for me.
Just because we're running short of time in terms of like with the group, is there anybody or any group you want to recognize? This is an opportunity just to give a shout out for any people or person. I understand the concern of leaving somebody out. I get that, but is there anything, you know, you're doing an incredible job and you represent a lot of teachers and staff. So yeah, go ahead. And if you have a shout out, let me know.
I mean, I would love to jump in, and I think I can speak for our entire staff. And I know that a lot of people would agree with me. I think a lot of teachers, whether you're a veteran teacher 20 years or you're a new teacher, we're all new teachers this year. Everybody, there's no exceptions. And we have the most incredible mentor teachers in our district. People, Erin Heisick and Jan Soucier, they are the most incredible, welcoming, accommodating, and flexible people you will ever meet. They go out of their way to make all of us able to give us opportunities to collaborate with each other, help us bring training and learn new things and learn with each other, create partnerships amongst teachers, new staff, and veteran staff. And it's just, I think the cohesivity would be so different, and the dynamic would be so different if we didn't have those two ladies at the helm of that mentor program. Big shout out to them.
I'd like to get two groups. Our administration, amazing. They have just really helped us navigate through this and have been so willing to listen to what's been hard for us and try to make adjustments and make it easier for us. And the second group is all those people that are working so tirelessly, hours and hours to make sure our curriculum is where it needs to be and what needs to be presented to the hybrid and the at-home learning part and the virtual. We couldn't do it without them. And so I'm just really super thankful for those groups.
That's awesome.
I wanted to say the whole music department works really well as a big team. And I know that I could always depend on them if I have problems or I have a challenge I need help with. They're always right there, like probably everyone else's departments as well. But it's always great to know that that's there for you when you need it. And I have to say, Aaron, great job this year. Holy cow. Aaron Isaacs has done just a spectacular job helping out whenever he's actually helped with my internet in my house, which is great.
It's an unsung hero.
That's right.
I'd like to shout out to our entire staff. When I think about the faculty and staff that I see every day at the high school, trying to figure out how to reach kids, how to meet kids' needs where they're at. They are the curriculum experts. So often we can't intervene and help. We need them to really direct that with the students and the parents. And our parents and families who are trying so hard at home to make it work for these older kids with content that a lot of parents haven't had in the past. So our teachers are doing a phenomenal job working tirelessly to meet the needs of all our kids. And our administration is always working with our PPS staff to come up with ways we can reach students to figure out where they're at, how to alleviate anxiety and how to support them, no matter where they're at or what they're dealing with. So just a shout out to those high school staff members.
Great.
And I'd like to give a shout out to my colleagues and my students who are struggling out there, because I think we all can relate to that, you know, and in these uncertain times, going through a pandemic, everybody's going through it for the first time and trying to make the most of the situation. It's really easy to be hard on yourself. And I can attest to that. I had some moments of doubt in my own practice, and I've enjoyed a really good career here at VCS. But I just want people to realize that the effort that we're putting in, it's appreciated across the board. As a parent in the district, as a teacher in the district, as a colleague of many teachers. And I definitely have to thank my my art department, especially Sean Duckworth, Mary Sue Holtz, Andy Redout, and Leah Marvin for being there, being excellent collaborators, being there to listen, being there to support. And there's just a great sense of reassurance from all of that. So, you know, I've approached this year with the understanding that every day I'm going to come in and give the best I have on that day. And that's all we can ever ask of anyone else in return. So I'm appreciative of all the hard work that my students put into their time here at Victor. And I'm just amazed at all of the creative ways my colleagues are solving problems. So for anybody who's doubting themselves out there, I want to give you a shout out, because we're going to get through this.
I agree.
Fantastic. So the five of you represent over 400 teachers and certainly over 750 staff that are doing just what Dave and all of you said, just doing whatever's best for kids. You know, making those sacrifices that most people don't see, and trying to put kids first, especially their social emotional needs, and making sure that they understand that it's okay to struggle and that we're going to get through this. So I really appreciate it, Superintendent, the five of you and the 750 staff beyond you. And I appreciate really you coming on and sharing those honest thoughts tonight, and have a great holiday moving forward. So thank you very much for coming on tonight. Really appreciate it. And have a great night. And then I'm going to continue on for a few minutes, give you some updates for those of you that hopefully will stick around. I want to talk about three things moving forward, and it really does relate pretty significantly to what we just heard about with the great professionals that I just had on with me. So I'm going to talk about hybrid learning at the secondary level, hybrid learning at the elementary level. I'm also going to talk about some of the questions I've gotten as superintendent from around getting back to school 5 days a week. And then at the end, give you a couple updates of some really neat stuff happening in the district. So I'm going to do all that hopefully in about 20 to 25 minutes. I know we were delayed, but I'll stay on a little bit if we need to. Certainly, if you have questions for me, as always, send them on Facebook Live. I'm hopefully the technical troubles that we had earlier have been alleviated. So put in your questions and we'll answer them sometime this week if I don't get to them tonight. So let me talk a little bit about the secondary level and hybrid. As you probably know, we've really engaged with students, staff, and parents around how things are going in the hybrid level, hybrid model moving forward this year. I know the leadership staff at the high school and the teacher leaders had engaged in significant conversation around what's working and what's not working. We had a survey that was sent out to both students and parents at the secondary level to get your input around the learning environment and how we're doing. And we also did a deep dive into our first quarter grades and the student academic performance after the first quarter at the secondary level. It's interesting, I will say this, the surveys were very interesting. Our surveys to the parents, there were many questions and lots of great information, but one of the most important questions was, do you feel like zooming in, your students zooming in on days that they're not in person would be helpful? and 82% of the parents, and I think we had over 650 parent participants in the survey. 82% of the parents said yes or maybe that Zooming on opposite days of in-person would be beneficial and helpful to the kids. And then when we did our student survey, which also had over 600 students, had over 600 people participate, 81% said no or maybe that Zooming on opposite days would be helpful to their learning. So this really shocks me that at some point our kids have a difference in opinion than their parents. I know that's never happened before, but obviously it's a pretty opposite viewpoint from our kids and our parents. I know that our staff has also, struggled with trying to figure out if a change on the days that kids are not in person would be helpful or not, especially since they spent so much time trying to figure this current process out in the hybrid learning, which is a lot different than what people are used to. So in the end, we know a few things. We know that our kids, we know that our teachers and our staff is working extremely hard with our kids that are going above and beyond the call of duty. I've said that over and over again, and I see it not just in my walkthroughs through the buildings, but also hear it in my conversations with a variety of people, including our administration and our parents. So teachers are working really hard. They're dedicating themselves more and more over and above the call of duty to try to support our kids. We know that our staff is having an extremely difficult time engaging kids when they're not in session, which is normal. It's difficult to engage our kids, especially at the secondary level, all kids, at a level that they're used to when they're not in person 60% of the time. And we see that not only in the anecdotal data that our teachers see, but also in the first quarter grades and student performance, which is significantly lower and a significant gap between the performance of previous years. Now, some of that gap is just because we're in a hybrid model or 100% online model. So I get the fact that we're going to have some gap, but I also understand that when we talk to teachers and we hear about this, the tremendous challenge of getting kids who really should be structured more, in my opinion, having that unstructured time for 60% of the time, it's really difficult to get them engaged, which does have, in many cases, an impact on their academic performance and as well as their social emotional well-being. So can we do anything about it? Well, we've decided to try something a little different. As you know, most of you know, February 1st, which is about 6 weeks from now, we are going to focus more live interaction with kids and some more live instruction with kids at the secondary level during the days that they're not in person and in session. Now, we have a lot of challenges with this and certainly some differences in opinion. Our teachers, it's a challenge for, and many of our teachers are rightfully so struggling with this shift and making sure, how you just heard it perfectly, much better than me from Dave and his eloquent explanation of what he's going through, trying to figure out how this is going to work and making it work. We certainly, as I mentioned earlier, have a difference in opinion in our parents and our students from our students. I know our students, many of the high school and junior high students are very happy with this current model. And I know many of our parents would like more interaction, although there are certainly parents that have emailed me and continue to email me with concern about shifting to this model. The bottom line is everybody has a point and everybody has a valid opinion on this. And we take that seriously and we listen to it. And honestly, you're all right. But the reality is we're going to try to alleviate some of this disconnect by having more interaction with our teaching staff, with our kids on the days that they're not in person. What we're trying to do is alleviate the pressure and the anxiety on our kids so that they can manage their workload a little bit better and have a little bit more structure. It also puts us on more of a schedule at the 7-12 level that in reality is what school has always been. People sometimes forget, and I forget, this is a temporary situation, folks. We are going to get through this. The vaccine is already out there. They're making some incredible progress with it. And sooner or later, hopefully sooner than later, we're going to be back to quote normal school with kids in person 5 days a week. That's our ultimate goal, as long as we can do it safely. And kids are going to have a schedule during that time. So this will, at the 7-12 level, really put our kids back on somewhat of a schedule, and which will help us if we have to pivot, if hopefully we can pivot to 5-day in person, but it'll also help us if we have to pivot for a period of time to 100% online, which we hope we don't. But this will put us on a schedule that will be have the availability of pivoting in either direction much easier than we would now. So starting February 1st, we're going to look at this. We're going to do this model. We're going to give a couple of other things, though. Want to alleviate some concerns of some people. We're not going to have kids on Zoom for 6 or 7 hours a day. That's not what we're doing. There's going to be a minimum amount of time that kids will be interacting with their teacher on days they're not in session, but there's going to be a lot of flexibility around that above the minimum time. And it also depends a lot on the age group and the class, as we talked about with Dave, in terms of what class is going on and what's best for the kids and the student and the teacher in that case. So we're not Zooming the entire 85-minute period or the entire 40-minute period at the junior high school. We know that that's not going to work, but we are going to have more interaction during that time. We are going to have flexibility with that model. And we're also going to look at having unplugged weeks where kids are not Zooming during a few weeks during the spring, to make sure we unplug for a little bit and try something, do some things, different things, and more independent things to give that break around Zoom and live interaction. And we need to completely and utterly support our teaching staff in the professional development necessary to move forward. We can't, we have to do a couple things. We have to make sure they have the right technology in front of them, continue to have that right technology and give the right technological support. We also have to give the proper professional development to support the instruction that's going to be happening, that is going to look somewhat different than it currently is on days they're not in session. So that's going to happen over the next 4 to 6 weeks. And we're going to be in a great spot, I believe, for February 1st. But this is not easy. It's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. There's going to be some messes. There's going to be some struggles, just like there is right now. But our main goal is to try to increase the engagement of our secondary students and put them on more of a schedule that's appropriate for their age group. And do that in conjunction with our teachers and making sure we listen to them, as well as listen to our parents and our community around it. So I want to just give an update on that, make sure we cleared up any misconceptions around how much time we're going to be Zooming. I am continuing to talk to people about it, certainly. And as I said, email me questions about it or email me directly if you have concerns or questions around it. Now let's just talk for a second about hybrid learning at the elementary level. Now that is a bit different right now. As you talked or you heard our kindergarten and second grade teachers talk a little bit about, virtual learning sets and recorded materials and the whole concept of a different age group and the appropriateness of elementary age and live Zoom and synchronous instruction versus the secondary age. There's some significant differences in that, and the appropriateness is different. We believe, and research shows that throughout a variety of research articles and research studies, that we don't want to be really pushing the live instruction on days they're not in school to anywhere near the level that we are going to shift, at least try to shift at the secondary level. So because of the age group, the age appropriateness of elementary students, as well as the need of support from parents, we really believe that the current model right now, we're going to keep that current model moving forward, although we're going to continue to look at tweaking it and certainly asking for feedback and making improvements where needed. One of the strengths of our current model, and I know it's not perfect and there's still a lot of parents, there's a significant parent responsibility at the elementary level that's incredibly stressful. I understand that. But one of the positive areas around this is that common course areas, for example, ELA and math, have consistent instruction across the grade levels. It's a little different than at the secondary level when you have a variety of courses all operating at different, with different material, different content, different learning standards. It's important at the elementary level right now that we really have some consistency across the different classrooms in the grade levels, and those virtual learning sets, those pre-recorded lessons, those really add a lot to that consistency. And it's important because then teachers can really collaborate effectively, and when the kids are in session, really work on that in a consistent fashion. We also want to consistently get student and teacher certainly teacher feedback, but student and parent feedback at the elementary level. I know our individual buildings are getting feedback from parents around it. Some have done surveys, some are doing it through their shared decision-making group in the building level. For example, at the intermediate building, actually at a couple of different buildings, one of the ahas has been Google Classroom understanding. The understanding of how to use Google Classroom by our students and our parents has significantly grown over the last 15 weeks, which is a huge help to us and a huge advantage, because Google Classroom is the sort of the hub of what we're interacting with. An area of continued focus and need is going to be student feedback and feedback from students to teachers on the work that they're doing. That is challenging, especially at the elementary level, and something we're continuing to work on. But we do see a difference in the models at elementary, from elementary and secondary. And that's why we're not doing the same shift into more live interaction on days they're not in person at the elementary level. We're going to, in an age appropriate way, continue to refine what we're doing currently, and really emphasize not only the recorded lessons and the virtual learning sets that I know you're interacting with on Google Classroom, but continued communication with teachers and to parents and to students, not just when they're in session, but on the days they're not in session. The smaller groups are helping as well, which is a byproduct of the hybrid model, as you know. So there can be more interaction between the teachers when they're in person. But I wanted to make sure you understood that and the difference between the structure at the elementary level in relation to the secondary level in the hybrid learning piece. I also want to address, I've been getting some great emails from strong advocates for our kids to be back 5 days a week. I certainly hope that will happen. And I do, like I said earlier, believe that will happen. Whether that happens in a couple months or whether it happens September 1st, I don't know, but I know it's going to occur. One of the reasons that we cannot do it at this moment is the same guidance that caused us to go to this model to begin with. A large part of it comes from the New York State Department of Health and the interim guidance for in-person instruction. There's two areas that we have been, multiple areas, but two that we've been really focused on are face coverings. Responsible parties must maintain protocols and procedures for students, faculty, and staff and other individuals to ensure appropriate personal protective equipment is used to protect against the transmission of the COVID-19 virus when on school grounds and in school facilities. At least an acceptable face covering, which is strongly recommended to be worn by all individuals at all times, but is required to be worn anytime or place that individuals cannot maintain appropriate social distancing. And then the second piece is social distancing. Responsible parties, that's our school district, must maintain protocols and procedures for students, faculty, and staff to ensure appropriate social distancing to protect against the transmission of COVID-19 virus when on school grounds and in school facilities. Specifically, appropriate social distancing means 6 feet of space in all directions between individuals. So the reality is, as I've said numerous times in the past, we don't have enough space to space 4,400 kids across the district at the same time and have everybody 6 feet apart. And we don't have the staff to do that as well. Some other districts, much smaller districts than ours, as well as some private schools, are able to do it either because they have large amounts of space and they have a way to work with the staff. I know there's some districts that are able to do it at the elementary level by spreading their kids out. District Victor is not in that situation. We have an example. We have over 1,000 students in our intermediate building. We just don't have the space or the room to do that. Excuse me. We're constantly looking at ways to bring more kids back, and we will continue to do that. And like I said at the beginning, as soon as we're able in a safe fashion and have the approval by the state health department to do so, we will bring kids back 5 days a week. And I do believe that's going to be coming hopefully sooner than later. So those are three quick updates on hybrid model, the differences between the elementary and the secondary level. And again, just a quick update around why we can't be in session 5 days a week. So let me just give a couple shout outs before we end tonight. Here's one from, actually, this is from a teacher at the early childhood school. I'd like to give a shout out to our wonderful aides in pre-kindergarten. They have totally stepped up to the plate with regard to the substitute situation this year. Whether the classroom teachers have been out of the classroom for personal sick or conference day, all of the pre-K aides have been willing to step into the role of classroom teacher and are doing a fabulous job. They thoroughly know the children, the curriculum, and the classroom routine. At times, they are alone in the classroom without someone stepping into their role. When that happens, the other pre-K aides check in on each other and offer assistance when possible. It is awesome to work in a place where individuals who do what is best for the children and the classroom. They make our pre-kindergarten program one of the best there is. A big applause for our aides, Stephanie Adamczyk, Suzanne Groh, Linda Miller, Nicole Bevington, and Tara Tangowski. Thanks for all you're doing. That's from a staff member at the early childhood school. And so I know it's a specific shout out to our pre-kindergarten teacher aides, but certainly all of our teacher aides who are, again, a group of unsung heroes who are helping us stay afloat and keeping us in person every day. That they need a big thank you from us. So that's one piece. A plug for the musical. I don't know if you can see it, but I'm wearing my favorite shirt I just received about a week ago, advertising the junior high musical, Schoolhouse Rock. That premieres this weekend. Thanks to Mr. Main, who I believe is overseeing and directing the musical. There's still time to purchase your tickets to the junior high musical production of Schoolhouse Rock Live Junior. The show will be digitally streamed this Friday and Saturday at 7 o'clock. Please consider supporting the Junior High Victor musical program and tuning in for this fun for the whole family event. When ordering tickets, make sure you go to our website and it'll connect you to the right website to order the tickets. December 18th, which is Friday, the show is at 7 o'clock, and this is virtual, folks. And then Saturday, December 19th at 7 p.m. Household viewing is $15. Individual or student viewing is $8. Go to www.showtix4.com. But I think you can also access it right through our website. But I've seen clips of it. I actually stopped by and was able to see the kids perform part of it. They are doing a wonderful job at Victor Junior High. And so a big plug for Schoolhouse Rock Live. And then just a reminder to everybody, during this holiday season, it can be a struggle around having enough food to eat. And we know there's families in need. So please reach out to our food service department. Go on our website if you have questions. We are going to have meals available. We can constantly do that. Not only are we going to have meals available, but different sites around the towns of Victor and Farmington will have meals available. Again, please reach out to our website. I think we put an announcement on a day or two ago, whether it's on the website and Facebook or just the website. But please, if you are in need of food for the holidays, reach out to us, give us a call if you can't find the information, because we have the availability to do that and to help our families in need. So a lot going on. It is an incredibly busy time. I really want to wish our families a safe and restful December break, an incredibly happy, although different, I know, holiday season. People, whether it's their staff or our parents, deserve a nice break from emails every day and announcements. I get that. I certainly will. I'm looking forward to that as well. And hopeful that you and your family and your friends will enjoy this time off and time together. even though it is a bit different. You've been incredible, not only our community and our parents, but our staff. Not many people thought this summer that on December 16th, we would still be in session and still be going strong. I know we have a lot of work to do. I know we have problems to solve, but we couldn't do it without you. So happy holidays and have a great evening. We'll continue these town halls once a month. Our next one will be in January, and we'll have further updates. So have a great night, everyone. Take care.